My favorite band has released a new song, Happy Birthday by Black Country New Road, and of course I want to talk about it. I have to kind of hide here in my 2-year-old's bedroom. We got so much stuff going on in my house right now, but I have to talk about it. You know, it's a complex, this new song, Happy Birthday, it is a complex, contradictory empathy anthem. That's the way that I'm thinking about it. I'm fascinated by this idea that they have of having three singers, three different female singers in the band, all produced by James Ford, one of the best producers on planet Earth right now. It's all very exciting. I'm going to try to not kind of dude bro it up, and when I'm reviewing the album, just be like, which one do I like more? I'm not going to try to put them in any kind of competition, because one thing this world has enough of is of men pitting women against each other. So I'm not going to do that, but I will say it's a totally different feel. It's a totally different feel, totally different vibe than the last song, and that's very exciting and very interesting. And listen, I did not initially take to this song, but if you love an artist the way that I love Black Country New Road, and the way I presume you do too, when you hear something and it's new and you don't know if you like it, it's incumbent upon you to listen to it until you know. Don't let your initial interpretation, your initial impression kind of color that. And the reason my initial dislike, or not dislike, my initial not love of this song came from the silliest reason, which I will explain throughout the video. Also, at the very end of the video, I'm going to tell you where to find my secret private video where I cover this song in what I call super tech. It's a kind of covering songs that my son and I developed a couple years ago. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who's just been listening to this song on repeat over and over and over and over and over again. The thing is, you know, they don't mind if they lose you a little bit in the way that they write songs. You know, this isn't like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus, right? Like if you read on Lyric Genius, they try to break things down to like refrain and verse and chorus, but it doesn't really work. This is just this bit. I call this bit song production, because there's this bit and that bit and this bit and that bit, and you just kind of put all these kind of bits together. There's no real repeated lyrics except for the first 3 words of the song, and it's a 4-minute song, but much like the last track, Besties, it's basically an EP in a song. It's got lots of ideas, it goes all over the place, and it deserves absolute, total, precise attention, in addition to it requires just turning off your mind and listening to it. It really works in both those ways. So what turned me off to it? Well, let me tell you. I did not hear the opening lyrics as cheer up, child. Those are the lyrics. I heard the lyrics as cheer up, Charlie. Now, I don't think that was in reference to the drummer Charlie Wayne, okay? Or Charlie Watts, for that matter. Another great British drummer whose name is Charlie W. I thought it was a reference to the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Or Charlie in the Chocolate Factory? Whatever the one was in the 70s with Gene Wilder, that one. And there's a song called Cheer Up Charlie, performed by Diane Saule. And I always hated this song. Now, I'm not like a Willy Wonka kid. I didn't grow up with that movie. My then girlfriend, future ex-girlfriend, future wife, future ex-wife introduced it to me, and she hated this song, and so I just kind of hated this song to be cool. And I listened to it again, and I was totally wrong. It's a very interesting and good song, and I think there might even be a way to read Cheer Up Charlie into this song, Happy Birthday. I think there might be some interesting parallels, because fundamentally, Cheer Up Charlie is an empathy song. It's an empathy song for a kid who's upset that he did not win a golden ticket to go hang around with kind of questionable dude in his factory, okay? And it's this whole song, Cheer Up Charlie, and it's sung by the mom to the daughter, and it's actually a nice moment because it's a lullaby, and Charlie Bucket's life is not super good. You know, he does all this work, and his grandparents just stay in bed, and he's basically living in some kind of industrial hellhole of an imaginary England that is like very sort of Thatcherian before Thatcher would come to power. And it does actually kind of tie into the song, because it's like, on one hand, you can just go like, oh, come on, kid. Like, you're upset because you didn't get a candy bar. But at the same time, like, he does have things in his life that one must cheer him up for. Okay? So, but that's not the lyric. But that's why. I heard Cheer Up Charlie, and I'm like, what the hell? They're doing like a Willy Wonka thing? Are they doing a Willy Wonka Wii game on this song? But no, it's actually Cheer Up Child. So once I figured that out, I could approach the song a lot more generally. You're also going to hear dogs barking. You're going to hear a 6-month-old barking. You are going to be hearing somebody in the garage working on electrical stuff. You are going to hear my wife trying to help everybody out. It's a house full of life up here. So cheer up, Professor. Everything's fine. Nobody cares about the ambient noise. Tell me in the comments that you don't care about the ambient noise. Please tell me you don't care about the ambient noise. I get so self-conscious about how unprofessional my videos are. Okay. So the song is called Happy Birthday, which places it at #1 in the Songs Called Happy Birthday bracket. It was originally held by the original song, Happy Birthday. It's a good song, good melody, just out of copyright finally. And then beyond that, we have the song Birthday by the Beatles, which is a bad song by a great band. Okay? And I think it's important because Happy Birthday is like, it doesn't matter who you are, how rich you are, how powerful you are, how much you have. It's always expected that your birthday is going to be a time of more. So the protagonist in the song, the person who the person who the protagonist is singing about, who the narrator is singing about, is presumably a very materially gifted person, somebody who has a lot of money, has a lot of societal power, lives in a very good place, lives in a very high floor of a building, that kind of thing, right? But still, you can still be disappointed. You can still want that golden ticket. And it's that kind of weird empathy for somebody who is disappointed. I remember when I was 22 years old, I don't know why. For my 22nd birthday, I was positive that my family got me a pinball machine. Now, it wouldn't been mine. It would have just been in my parents' house. But I always wanted an Addams Family pinball machine. I'd been talking about it. And I don't know where I got it in my head. They never said they'd get it for me. But I remember the morning of September 13th, whatever date it was, 2000, whatever, 1999, whenever it was, who knows when. And I remember hearing noises downstairs thinking, oh my God, they're installing my pinball machine. I woke up and it was, no one even thought of it. It was all just entirely in my head. Okay, so I don't know. It's not quite that silly, but it is a song about empathy for people who have too much. Okay, people who have too much. Can we have empathy for people who have too much when we live in a world where too many people have not enough? That's the challenging question. That is the contradictory empathy that I am talking about in this song. She is demanding contradictory empathy. Now, I want to take this song line by line and bit by bit because it is easy, and the first couple listens, you might just hear it and go, oh, I don't know, but you really have to listen because these musicians and this producer know how to put little tiny instances all over a song that the more you pay attention to it, the more it gives you, the more it gives you, the more it gives you. So I'm going to take it line by line, frame by frame, like Naughty by Nature. All right, if you like what you see, smash the like button, subscribe. AVAA stands for awesome video, as always. Let's talk about the very beginning with these winding up sounds, this mandolin, which is probably going to be a major theme on the album, sort of musically, an acoustic guitar, and a little slide guitar rising. This whole song is about rising and falling, and rising and falling, and constantly rising and constantly falling. I presume that might be just a musical motif, but it might also tie into the larger motifs of, I don't know, somebody in a high position in society falling. I don't know. Cheer up, child. Those are the opening lyrics as the piano kind of plugs with these little guitar notes at the end, a little electric guitar twang. The world doesn't owe you a thing. Going into this idea of saying cheer up and also, hey, shut up. Like the opening lines, I'm telling you, it's contradictory. It's cheer up and shut up, okay? Cheer up and shut up, cheer up and shut up. That's what it's saying. And it's paired with these notes. It's kind of musical-like, and this beautiful falsetto. Who bought you that ring? So we're also in a position of talking about somebody who has a lot of things, but it's also somebody who is not necessarily from money, but has money because somebody bought them a ring. So this ring becomes an object that represents the wealth. And listen, I've been listening to this song. I listened to the song probably 15 times this morning with my 2-year-old. I was feeding her parfait. Like a sugar-free yogurt, Greek yogurt, a little bit of sugar-free muesli, and a whole bunch of blueberries. She loves it, right? So I'm feeding her that, and we're listening, and she just starts playing piano on the table like that, because she loves the sound of the piano. And then behind this, we have what I call the badass minor churn. these kind of three notes, ding, dun, dun, ding, dun, dun, which just end up repeating themselves throughout this song. And that's kind of like the sort of ding, dun, dun. There's something about that like little motif that keeps coming back. Much like, listen, I want you to enjoy the comedy of these videos, because when Toby barks like that, my anxiety goes through the fucking roof. Because I feel so unprofessional and like I shouldn't be recording right now. But I literally have no space and no time in my life other than right now in this room, in this place. So if you're here to watch me, watch me. Cheer up, child. The ghouls and the snipers don't care. All of a sudden it takes kind of a weird turn, and the song does this thing quite a bit where it seems to be kind of straightforward, and then we'll just go off and the ghouls? Ghouls? Where did these ghouls come from? The ghouls and snipers don't care. And then more electric guitar. We had these kind of bending notes, the mandolin in the back. There's nobody there. And it starts winding back up, the winding back up sound, okay? One of these days, all of a sudden, Lewis's saxophone comes in just a little bit. You might miss it. And you might notice the patch on my head. One of these days, you might notice the patch on my head. Slightly off notes happening here in the background. I'm already dead. All right, this is that uncanny thing, right, where it's like, okay, so is she a zombie? I'm picturing patches in my head, like, you know how zombies in movies have like patches of their skin missing? So I am picturing Tyler as singing to a rich friend of hers as a zombie, walking kind of down the street talking to her. Not literally, but figuratively. This is filled, much like Besties was the same way. I really enjoy this poetic space that they're writing from, where it's this mixture of the concrete and the ephemeral, and it's really working out quite well. And it's this uncanny paranormal aspect. And the way she sings, dead, okay? Like she's got some kind of vibrato on here. All right, I don't know. I thought she sang super well on the Bush Hall stuff and when I saw her in concert. But this is some aria stuff. This is some really fancy, excellent singing. And it creates this whole thing that will repeat throughout the song of just this like, just this really high voice that allows a lot of interesting things to happen underneath. I'm already dead, and see the man you married for money can't breathe. This is where we get into sort of like, we're living in a moment where we're really trying to understand what is our relationship to wealthy people and the hyper wealthy. And this is where I need to really mention this, okay? I grew up, my family did have money, but not like, you know, I still have to work, but I was around people whose families didn't have to work. You know, I was around the hyper rich, okay? And the hyper rich in the 80s and 90s are not like the hyper rich today. The hyper rich today live in a different zone. They live in a different level of spiritual emptiness. Maybe because philanthropy is not as popular as it used to be, and it's just buying stuff and buying stuff and buying stuff and buying stuff and buying stuff, getting tax cuts so you can buy more stuff that you don't want. You know, like if you think about a hyper rich person, a person in the top 1%, when a watch costs them $15,000, it makes them happy because then they can spend that money on something, okay? That's the kind of weird spiritual emptiness that I see happening now. So this man who's so rich is almost dead. I don't think it's just that he is some kind of, old guy and that she's young. I think it's a spiritual death. And also, not for nothing, but we're also living in the time of The White Lotus, the TV show. This feels like it could be in the theme show of White Lotus. And the drums start plodding. You know, Charlie, the drummer, he needs to cheer up on this song because he isn't really getting a lot to do. He does a lot of great stuff. He's very restrained, but he's not really going kind of super Charlie style because that's not what the song needs. It's just kind of and almost a Neil Young style guitar line. Then we go back to that badass minor churn. Now, it's called the refrain by Genius. I don't know what it is, but this next part is basically the part that I think everybody wants. This is the part where we go, okay, here's kind of an easier to grab onto part. Almost a sort of LA singer-songwriter bit. We know they're sort of in that bag right now with their influences. How do you make it down the street? The city burns like fire beneath your feet. And it's this little fun part, and the mandolin's going, and we think that the song is going in this whole new direction, kind of a jauntier direction, maybe a more commercial direction, but no. It goes right back to the beginning with another cheer up child line. And again, I think this is totally on purpose. I think it's not trying to give us what we want, it's trying to give us what we need. Cheer up, child, your world's not tearing apart, though you broke its heart. I don't know. Is this a lyric to a super wealthy person who feels as though the world is tearing them apart, even though they broke its heart? Because, the super rich hurt people? I don't know. And this whole line is just vocals and guitar chords, and it starts winding up again. This song is like starting and stopping constantly. You broke its heart. You broke the world's heart. Many people would give an arm and a limb to live where you live. This goes into the class divide. This goes into this whole idea that, the song, I believe, is legitimately asking for empathy while also telling this person to shut up and stop complaining. It's contradictory. I told you, it's a contradictory empathy anthem. It's a contradictory empathy anthem. Hey, are you alone? You're alone. Even if you're not alone, just try saying empathy anthem. It's a very fun thing to say. Empathy anthem. One more time. Empathy anthem. Gets kind of more build up, gets kind of epic, and then live where you live. Then we have that, and this whole song is death and life, and that's the thing she really emphasizes. Dead, live, right? Like living and dying, and that's what I think a lot of this is that the super rich, like everybody's dead. Everyone's dead in this song. The super rich are dying, the not rich are already dead, and to live where you live. Okay, and the drums start playing on toms before we get to what they call the chorus, but it's not really a chorus. Finally, we get a little more saxophone on here. Again, kind of like the way the drummer is a little bit downplayed in this song. I think the saxophone is a little bit downplayed in this song, which I think is what the song needs. And that's one thing I hope, that it's a very full band with a very full sound, that sometimes some people might just, hang out, take a break, eat some, what does the British people eat? Maltesers? It's like a candy, right? I think we call those Whoppers in America. Maltesers. I think that's what British people do when they're not playing music. Nice kind of lead guitar lines. Now, the one thing Charlie is doing well on the drums is a lot of great work with that emphasis of just closing a hi-hat, super hard. Really, really cool. And then we get to the central bit here. It's not your fault. We don't blame you. We blame the world you're born into. So that's the thing. Do you blame them? Do you blame, I don't know, Melinda Gates? Melinda Gates, who married Bill Gates, or what's Zuckerberg's wife's name? Whatever her name is, let's take her because she's a little bit younger and a little bit more visible in the public sphere. Do we blame her for the hyper wealth, for trying to buy the entire island of Hawaii and displace all the people there? Do we blame her? Is she individually responsible for this fakakta situation that we find ourselves in with all these ridiculous tax cuts and this growing division between the haves and the have-nots? And then we just voted to make sure that the have-nots will continue having less? I don't know. And is this tied into the fact that I am now a fan of the football club Fulham? It is, because Fulham is the team for the posh in London. And I root for them because I think it's funny, because on Charlie Wayne's Instagram, he was at a Fulham game. And so now I support them because they're sort of the people who are the problem. They're like the rich team. But I don't know. I don't really have a point there. Let's keep going. Happy day of birth, no matter where on earth your feet have taken you today. I believe I quote Gemma from the last episode of Severance. Can you please talk like a normal person? There's something that's uncanny, right? I think she's going for an uncanny feel with the way. So the song's called Happy Birthday, but this is a happy day of birth. Okay, speaking of Zuckerberg, it's like weird robotic speaking. Happy day of birth, no matter where on earth your feet have taken you today. But it's this idea, right? The people who have are walking. They're always walking. They're always above. They're always in a superior position. They're always superposed upon the rest of the world. And so wherever their feet have taken, presumably their feet have taken them above the other people and potentially on the people and where the street are. We're feeling this sense of conflicted empathy for these people who walk on other people. And then she starts singing differently, no breaks and no space. And the rest of the song, she's generally, this crescendo is building. Did you hear me say that I love something about you, but I don't know what it is? I love something about you, but I don't know what it is. What is it that we love about these people? I don't know. And there's this little thing. Okay, hey, basically every song by Black Country New Road, there's at least one thing where you go, oh, there's that little thing. The little thing is the way the saxophone, played by Lewis, emphasized the last two notes of "it is." Don't know what it is. The way those paired together, it is. I don't know if we need to thank Tyler, we need to thank James Ford, you need to thank Lewis, whoever it is that put these little notes in there. It's this little thing that just happens, as far as I can tell, just once in the song, of the saxophone matching exactly the syllables and the rhythm of the singing. And it's just beautiful. Something, great, now there's this weird heater in my daughter's room that keeps starting and stopping. I just got to keep going. Something that I must find. This is the part where Charlie starts playing the bass drum, a little bit kind of a thump. Something I must find, for you have. Everything keeps rising here. Something I must find is rising, for you have something, truly something, and then it starts falling. So that you have truly built your fort. Okay, 1 second. This is too much. I gotta pause this so I can turn off whatever that thing is. I don't even know how I'm gonna do it. All right, I unplugged it. That should have done it. Am I still recording? I am. So it all builds up. For you have truly built your fort. And that's the way that she sings it. And the word fort becomes super strong and everything falls apart. The drums stop playing. Everything stops playing. It feels like the song's over. But then she starts singing little ooh, ooh, oohs. And then how do you see? And it's just an acoustic guitar, just for the voice, beneath the canopy of your top floor. Always talking about where she's walking, where this person is on top of, okay? We're assuming this is somebody who is married to someone very rich and is in a sad position, and we are supposed to feel some empathy for her while also telling her not to. And the vibrato goes absolutely, totally nutty on floor, just or. I can't, even better than I am singing it. And then while this floor is going, then the badass minor churn notes start going and the chugging riff starts going. And then all of a sudden we get da-da, leading right into a full BCNR style jam, Black Country New Road jam, the saxophone running, and then the outro is just spoken. Well, a lady introduced me to my best friend. We connected through cans on head. Can you please just talk like a normal person? I assume this means like a telephone, right? Like cans on head. I don't know exactly what that means, but she's talking about how she met them. A lady introduced me by my best friend. So she's talking about this person who she met, even though I fear she might be quite dead. This is the second moment of like, ooh, what's funny? Didn't I say that Lewis, the saxophonist, and Charlie the drummer are not having their moment to shine on the song, yet they each get the sort of ooh moment in this. So first we had the little saxophone on It Is, and here we have these hi-hats just going, might be quite dead. Just the that's the sound that a hi-hat makes when it closes, and it punctuates each of these lines. And it's only once they do this instance, and it gives such power to the song. And then there's this little jam, and she sang a tale of youth, and these backup vocals, this conversation that she's having, because children don't know the meaning of truth. Because children don't know the meaning of truth. One second, where is this? I recorded it, just that little bit, because I wanted to play it for you, but I can't figure out how to get it to play. Because children don't know the meaning of truth. This goes into the whole weird thing about this song, that she's singing about a married adult and constantly referring to them as child. I think this is about the infantilization of the super rich. They don't have to really live on Earth. And especially, I think, when you marry into money, you're also infantilized because you are taken care of. That's the term that's used. You are taken care of. You are essentially put in a position of a taken care of child. You just have to provide certain sexual, material, and social services, and then you get to maintain this position, but you're fundamentally a child. So children don't know the meaning of truth. It's true. They don't. I'm now raising my fourth kid, and I can tell you, children don't know the meaning of truth. You have to become an adult in order to, or older, a kid, to understand the meaning of truth. And then it goes right back at the very end to that little bit that I mentioned that's everyone wanted, that little tiny jam, that little tiny little groove that they had earlier. How do you make it down the street, feel removed from everyone you meet? And that's the sort of nice resolution to this song, and that's the idea. It's sad. It's sad. It is. And it winds down with this nice little perfect resolution. My son's visiting, the same son who went to the concert with me. It's very cool. And he just loved the ending of the song, how it kind of resolves so nicely. And it's true. We should have some sympathy, empathy for the hyper-rich. We should. It's not good. It's not good for the soul. It's not, hyper-wealth is bad for the soul. It does make you a weird, unpleasant child. And I'm not saying it's impossible for a rich person to make it into heaven going through the eye of a needle, whatever. It's impossible for a billionaire to be a good person. Like, that's just point, period, the end. Okay? That's just impossible. And especially, you know, people who are like born into it or whatever, or marry into it. I don't know. And so I think that's what this is. This is a feel better, shut up song, which is maybe the right thing to say to the hyper wealthy. Feel better, shut up. Much like me expecting that pinball machine, the Addams Family pinball machine. Hey, Skye, feel better, shut up. Now, on some level, if I got that pinball machine, it would have meant that my family paid a lot of attention to me and they cared for me and they really looked out for me and that they really cared about what I liked, as opposed to what I got that year for my birthday, which was nothing. Nothing. I was 22. You know, I barely got anything for my 16th birthday. I don't know if I did. Anyways, that's not the kind of family we were. So I said, I promised, I threatened I would send you a link to my Super Tech cover. So this is a thing. Super Tech is a thing I developed with my son when he did a cover of the song Metamorphosis by Playboi Carti. I love watching people cover songs. It's very fun. It's very exciting. But it can be boring because it's just trying to imitate something great. I will never be able to sing as well or play this as well at all. So what I do is what are called Super Tech covers, which are not parodies, but maybe satire, where like I would take a part of the song, some kind of vibey bit of the song, and kind of like use that to sort of recreate my feeling of the song. So I'm going to include a link to it. Okay, I'll point to the link in a second. And it's not for everybody. I showed up to my son and he said, you know, everyone's going to say, are you doing okay, Professor Skye? I'm doing great. I just fed my daughter that parfait I was talking about earlier. I picked up my guitar and was like, oh, can I figure out these notes? And I'm kind of playing along. My 2-year-old gets out her little hand drum and she starts playing drums and we're playing to the song. She's like, I like this song. I'm having a great time. But I just kind of had a fun time. And I just sort of like, I didn't sing the actual lyrics. I just kind of sung the feeling of the lyrics. So I tried to recreate a kind of weird, super messed up, kind of cursed Super Tech cover. So that's what Super Tech is. They're sort of like intentionally cursed, loving, satirical covers of songs. And I want to see more Super Tech because it doesn't take a lot of skill, but it does take some creativity and a little bit of sense of humor. So check it out up there if you dare. And there you go. Now, the only problem is sometimes members of the band do watch my videos. So if they click on that, that's not good. That's not good. But what can I do? I have to express myself. All right. Until next time, I cannot wait for this album. I'm so excited. And where's the camera? Camera's right